All right, guys, please raise your hands for questions for Tyler Bowen.
Good afternoon, or morning, one of those.
We'll start on the right with Mike Barber.
Hey, Coach, coming in and getting familiar with your guys, how do you identify who leaders are going to be for your unit? And then next step is how do you coach leadership or kind of refine it?
Well, I think as far as identifying them, I think we've been doing that going through winter workouts, through summer workouts. You know, the neat thing with the NCAA rules, we're now allowed some more time with them. So I think you're seeing some of that on our unit. As far as developing it, I think it's conversations that you have. I think leadership's something you have to coach. You know, I think a lot of young players want to be a leader. They just don't know the right way to go about it. So we have conversations, each position coach, as well as myself as a coordinator, and of course Coach Pry, about how to go about that the right way.
Tyler, Brent mentioned that Braylon Moore is a freshman, moving from the defensive side to the offensive side over the summer in the fall camp, who's really impressed him. What have you seen from him in 7-8 practices working at offensive guard?
We're very excited about Braylon. Braylon, number one, he's a very good athlete, plays the game with tenacity, and he's very smart. It's been impressive to me, being on the defensive side of the ball in the spring and then moving over to offense, just how quickly he's picked up the concepts and maybe even getting past the 100 level into some of the 200 level things. Still got a long way to go, but we're very excited about his future.
And then who else among that true freshman class do you think on your side of the ball can contribute this year?
Contribute still early. We're going to get through a half scrimmage today. I think we'll know a lot more. But Xavier Chaplin and Johnny, they've stuck out at the tackle position, and all those guys are doing a really nice job. Brody's come a long way. I think we've got a good young group there. We'll find out a lot today after the half scrimmage.
Hey, Tyler, where does Cole Beck fit into the mix with you guys?
He fits in fast. He's very fast. Cole's transitioning, right? I think there's some things for him getting back into the playbook, getting back into installs and things like that. But Cole is really doing a nice job. You see marked improvements every day. And obviously he's got top-end speed that's hard to coach. So there's some things he can do from a vertical threat standpoint.
Hey, Coach, 5 or 10 years ago, this might have been a dumb question, but now with the transfer portal, is there a part of your approach kind of keeping in mind you have to keep guys happy, keep them engaged because of how easy it is for a guy to leave now if he doesn't feel like he's getting enough attention, enough love, enough snaps, whatever it is?
No, I understand the question from the transfer portal standpoint, but I hope we're doing that as a staff all together. We want guys to be engaged. We want them to be happy doing what they're doing. I think Coach Pride starts with him. We work hard. We want to work as hard as any program in the country, but we also want it to be fun, and I think we do that. And the transfer portal, that never really enters my mind. I hope that's the way those guys feel we approach it as coaches.
Coach Prime mentioned he could envision naming a starting quarterback sometime next week after a couple more scrimmage opportunities. What do you need to see as an offensive coordinator from the starter to feel comfortable naming one?
Well, I think the thing you get in scrimmage opportunities that you don't get in practice is just those move-the-ball situations, right? The true flow of a drive where situations happen organically, and that's what we'll get here over the next few practices. When you're in practice, you're in team periods, you're scripting, you're working situational work, you're trying to emphasize a run scheme or a particular pass scheme that day. So I think just seeing the quarterback move the ball, right, take available grass to play a 10-yard game and move the ball down the field, I think that's what you get to see in those scrimmage situations, which helps you make a decision.
Jaden Blue put up some pretty impressive numbers at Temple, especially 3 years ago. Have you seen flashes of a guy capable of catching 70, 80 plus for 1,000 yards as he has been out here during camp?
Jaden, obviously when transferring in, that was a little bit of a transition, but Jaden's done an excellent job this camp. He's certainly a guy we're counting on big time. I think we're getting that version of Jaden right now, just his work ethic, the work he's put in over the summer, the timing he has with the quarterbacks. We're really excited about his role in the offense.
Tyler, Brent has mentioned Jalen Holston now a couple of times, and he's obviously the veteran in that running back room. What has stood out about him, somebody who had maybe had opportunities to go somewhere else, but has stuck around this program and has kind of been that veteran presence? And what have you seen from him throughout fall camp so far?
Well, I think you said it best, right? That veteran presence is something that I notice every day. His leadership within that room and our offense, I think he's really grown in that regard. And to be honest, just his consistency in every aspect of what we're asking those guys to do, whether that's carrying the ball, catching the ball, pass protection. He's been very consistent in his work ethic, his approach, and everything he does at practice. So we're really excited about Jalen and how he's coming along.
Yeah, Tyler, when it comes to the quarterbacks, what about those two guys, in the running leads you to believe that whenever a starter is named, I know Coach Price said probably sometime next week, that whoever doesn't get the job will be able to sort of embrace his role as the backup and still be prepared and be ready to kind of step in when the time is called?
That's a great question, and I think both of those guys just show a sense of maturity. And I think they understand that we want to put the team first, so when and if that comes, I don't think there'll be an issue with that. Those guys approach the game the right way. It's fun to watch them push each other every day. It's fun to watch that entire group push each other. Just the maturity.
I'm sure the answer is probably some form of it depends, but how many running backs can you conceivably get carries in a game, any kind of regular kind of carries?
It depends. Obviously I've been a part of offenses where you have a running back by committee approach, and I think you look at what guys' strengths and weaknesses are, what schemes they excel at, what they don't excel at, and you try to play to those strengths and keep bringing along the weaknesses as you go. Generally on any football team, right, you're going to get into your depth chart at some point during the season, right? So we want all those guys to be ready. We know what they're good at right now. We want to keep accentuating that and keep bringing them along in the other areas because we'll need every one of them by the end of it.
To follow up on that, do you feel good that one or two of those guys can be an all-around back in terms of picking up in protection, catching a pass out of the backfield? Or when you're thinking committee, are there guys who you're going to have to play to their strengths all year?
They all have areas to work on right now, and that's what we're challenging them on every day. But I think they're all capable of being an all-around running back.
Coach, what did you know of the history of offense here and all the names that, pictures that are on the wall? What did you know of that before you ever came here, before you ever decided to come here? And how much does your personal philosophy mesh with the history of what this program has seen?
Well, the first thing that I thought of when Coach Pride gave me the opportunity is I think of the Michael Vick Experience commercial. I think of Thursday Night Football when I was a kid sitting down, and I'd sit down, and Thursday Night Football was Virginia Tech, and watching those guys play. When I think of Virginia Tech style, and we talk about that with our team, we think of tough, physical, hard-nosed. We want to be able to run the ball, be able to set up our play-action shots, and then obviously we can have completion passes in between. But that's what I think of Virginia Tech, just a hard-nosed, tough group. We talk about that every day. The relentless effort in which this group played with in the past, and we want to be able to bring that tradition back and play with that going forward.
Tyler, what have you seen from kind of your wide receiver room beyond kind of that big trio of Lofton, Smith, and Blue, and who do you expect kind of maybe to be those fourth and fifth receivers for you this season?
I still think it's early. We're going to find out a lot over the next couple of days, but there's a lot of guys that have flashed. Stephen Gosnell's done a really nice job. Christian Moss is doing some good things. That's just to name a couple. That entire group is one of the more improved positions on our offense. I think they've done a great job. Coach Mines does an excellent job with those guys, and the work that they put in the summer with the quarterbacks, it's showing on the field right now. I feel like we really came into fall camp with a much better understanding of the offense, what we need to do schematically, what we're asking of them technically, and we've been able to build on that over these first few days of camp.
Please raise your hands for more questions for Coach Bowen, guys. Chris on the left.
Coach Pry mentioned the true freshman tight ends have been very impressive so far. As their coach, what's your viewpoint of them?
all three guys have a chance to be really successful. I've been impressed with every one of them, their approach, their work ethic, their maturity. All have different skill sets and similar skill sets. I think all three have a chance to be well-rounded tight ends. We've got a long way to go, still early in camp, but what they're showing from a physicality standpoint, from the ability to catch the ball on the perimeter and make plays, really excited about that group. And I think it helps when you have an older veteran group in that room to show them the way. You know, I think Drake and Nick and Ty Eller and that entire group have really done a nice job of bringing those guys along. I'm big on direct teaching and making an interactive meeting room, so it's fun. You know, a lot of times I'll ask Drake, what are you seeing on this play, and then bounce it back to a guy like Harrison. It's been neat to watch that interaction happen, and I think that's helping those guys bring along on the field.
In the back, we got Travis Wells.
Hey, Coach, as a former lineman in your playing days, do you feel comfortable with the depth there right now? Do you find yourself in practice maybe kind of taking a peek over there at those guys when Coach Rudolph is working with them?
I love taking a peek over there because, number one, I think Coach Rudolph's the best at what he does. He does an excellent job with that group, and I think that's what we're doing right now. We all know we've got to create depth, and I think that's happening. You're slowly but surely seeing guys come along, show signs of life that maybe they didn't have before, and I've been really impressed with how Coach Rudolph handles that group and how that group has really taken to his coaching and has come along. But for sure, we've certainly got to create some depth here over camp.
Yeah, we got one more in the front.
You can trust me to catch it. Coach, I'm curious, you get the job, you're getting ready to come down to Blacksburg, you probably have all these ideas and vision of what you want the offense to be. Have there been things that you've kind of had to put in a draw maybe for a future year based on personnel? Have there been things that you see when you get here personnel-wise, say, okay, you know what, actually I want to do this, without maybe giving away any trade secrets? Has there been a lot of change to maybe what you visioned compared to when you see your personnel?
I wouldn't say a change. We want to be able to have enough tools in our toolbox to answer any problems that are going to happen on a Saturday against any opponent we're going to play. So I kind of look at it as we install parts, right? We've got parts of this machine, and we can make it a whole for a game plan, and it all goes back to what I've said from day one. I think the best thing that we can do is evaluate our personnel, what our guys do really well, who are our playmakers, and be able to play on those strengths, and I think we've been able to do that. Certainly the offense morphs with who you have to play on it, right? So I think that's an ever-changing and ever-evolving thing, but as far as the schemes that we want to install, those are the parts that we can make whole on a game day.